People think they have been seeing spirits of the dead for thousands of years, but never like this. Shadowy figures are lurking within these walls and speaking from beyond the grave. The active spirits of the long dead infest and haunt those who have had frightening encounters.
Okay, whatever it is mad now.
There are a few brave souls who dare tread this sacred ground, attempting to solve the mystery. They are America's ghost hunters. This could be one of the greatest ghost hunting teams ever assembled. Their challenge is to unlock the mystery of the most haunted places in America. Restless spirits won't leave this naval ship.
We heard a story that you were blown up with a cannon. Is that true?
Mysterious voices are coming from the subterranean basement beneath this church.
All the power's just gone out on my camera, period.
This Native American burial mound has been disturbed and is tormenting the residents nearby.
Wow.
The long dead are said to be trapped in this underground city. And this abandoned prison, some claim, is besieged by the ghosts of men who waited here to die.
I'm not willing to stay up here.
Just across the Mississippi River from St. Louis, we've come to a small town with a history of murder, floods, disaster, and death, making it what some claim is the most haunted town in America. It may look like anywhere USA, but Alton, Illinois is besieged by ghosts, according to many of its residents. Troy Taylor is trying to shine the clear, cold light of history into the dark and deadly mysteries of the hauntings of today.
It's the events of the past that really add up to create the hauntings that we know today.
He's not just a big fan of real-life ghost stories. He's an author who's written over 28 books on the subject. In the world of ghost hunting, Troy's approach is decidedly unconventional. Instead of opening crypts, he starts by opening a doorway to the past.
My thought is that if I can find historical proof that a place is haunted, I can really show genuinely that it's haunted. I don't use a lot of technology or gadgets. What I mostly deal with is the history.
We've come to Alton because Troy has learned about a bizarre double haunting happening in, of all places, a friendly local church. What makes this haunting one of the strangest Troy has ever encountered is that even the pastor believes the church is haunted.
The Unitarian Church came to my attention from one of the members who belonged there. She'd had a strange experience in the church, and soon she began to discover that there had been people dating back quite a few years who'd been having the exact same experiences that she had had.
In order to determine what horrific events of the past might be provoking spirits to haunt the church today, Troy takes us to meet this woman, Peg Flack, the church historian.
Come on in.
Hey. Tell me a little bit about this room, because you told me, I think...
The building has a long history. It was originally built as a Catholic church. Then, after a devastating fire in the 1850s, it was rebuilt as a Unitarian church in the turbulent days just before the Civil War. Troy soon discovered the building holds a shameful secret. 75 years ago, after Sunday church service, the pastor, Philip Mercer, went to the back and hanged himself. He dangled for 2 long days before being discovered.
Kitchen, and this is the best place we can determine most probably where he committed suicide. And nobody has ever quite figured out what the reason was behind it, but there were some mysterious circumstances definitely in his death that remain a mystery to this day.
He's had, and when you called, you said he was kind of the likely culprit as far as what ghost would be here haunting the church. Certainly leads to the circumstances.
Yeah. A hanging of a minister in a church is a phenomenon that doesn't happen very often.
In a strange twist, Peg tells of her own frightening encounter with a ghost. But she believes her experience might not be connected to the former pastor at all. She thinks it originates from a different source, one deeper, one older.
I'm standing there by the sink, and all of a sudden I get that back of the neck prickly feeling like, oh, what's this mean? And I stuck my head out, and I felt that something was in the sanctuary. And I heard all this laughing and talking downstairs and thought, oh, there are people in the building. This is wonderful. I'm not here alone. And I came to the top of the stairs and I yelled down the stairs, hi, this is Peg, who's here? And all the voices and all the talking and all the laughing stopped. And I thought, okay, I'm leaving now.
Other church members have told Peg that they too hear voices coming from beneath the floor. But Troy isn't ready to enter the musty, dark warren of cramped, interconnected passageways that make up the basement. When he goes down there, he wants to be armed with history. He needs to know more. Troy takes us here. It may look like a community library, but to Troy, it's a ghost hunter's best tool to unlock the mystery behind a haunting. Vaulted in the back of the building is a room which holds the best collection of local Illinois history. For Troy, ghosts reveal themselves through these pages. One of the ways Troy does his research is by looking back through time at the place to see what events might have influenced the haunting. While researching the 1850s church fire, he discovers multiple documents pertaining to the Civil War and a tab which he feels might hold an answer. Alton, Illinois is a documented Underground Railroad station along the Mississippi River. And several of the town's buildings, including churches, are rumored to have assisted slaves escaping their masters from the South. Troy returns to the church with his friend Luke Naliborski. Troy's instinct and newfound knowledge of a possible connection to the Underground Railroad may well be the doorway to understanding if spirits are roaming the basement. Troy and Luke are equipped with flashlights and special infrared cameras to explore and document the basement.
Just watch your head coming up through here. Now I want to take a look over here first.
The church was not specifically mentioned in the records, but if Troy could find physical proof that the basement was used to hide slaves, then he could validate a source for the strange voices heard throughout the years.
But I wanted to kind of see if we could get back and check out some of this back area back here, because that would have been the area where the slaves were supposed to have been.
Right.
But it's from this area that, you know, people have been talking about hearing the voices and hearing, you know, the cries and stuff coming from down here. Luke and I decided that we would go back and get underneath this original foundation.
To explore the entire basement, they must maneuver through a crawl space that is barely 2 feet high and pitch black. They hope to find proof of a secret room that could have hidden slaves. When we return, Troy finds a clue that helps unlock the mystery of the haunted church.
Can you see it? Yeah.
Ghostly voices are captured on tape. And we are locked overnight inside a haunted prison to join what may be the largest paranormal investigation ever.
So the ceilings would not have been quite so low.
Troy Taylor and Luke Naliborski are wriggling in the dark crevices beneath this 2-century-old church with the hope of finding a secret room that could have hidden slaves during the days of the Underground Railroad.
If you look back around this way, I'm gonna try to get back into this area back here if we can. Actually, I've just lost my camera. All the power's just gone out on my camera, period. No, that's an interesting thing, isn't it, Luke? Good thing. That's, and there it goes again. Now it's taken off. Man, there's something weird going on here. My camera's shutting on and off by itself. That doesn't normally happen. That's not a normal thing.
60 feet in, they reach what appears to be a dead end, but then...
You see that opening up there?
Yeah, that's what I'm heading for. Can you see it?
Yeah.
Yeah, here it is. This is what we were looking for. It looks like there's more of a room back here, in the back here. Actually more of a chamber area than anywhere else. Without all this dirt, this would have been perfect. You could slide right in through here and have you've got a whole room back there full of dirt now, but at one time it wouldn't have been. Yeah, it's a little room all by itself in there. We found exactly what had been described to me in the past as being, part of the Underground Railroad with the church. I think we answered the question as to whether or not there's actually a room back there where they hid slaves. At least I can say that's something. So.
In one afternoon, Troy confirmed what church members had suspected for years. There is a hidden room located exactly under the spot where people have reported hearing voices.
Of all the activity and the tragedy of the Underground Railroad that took place down there in that basement, I believe has left an impression behind. So the First Unitarian Church, I believe that through history, I've been able to prove is haunted.
So what is the best proof that ghosts exist?
If you can interview people who've lived at a location over a period of years and don't know each other and have all encountered the same ghost, then historically speaking, you've just proven that there's a ghost there.
But Jim Underdale, a skeptic from the Center for Inquiry West, disagrees.
Any place that has a reputation for being haunted, people then go to that reputation looking for ghosts and interpreting any noise or anything they see as being a ghost which they already think is there.
If you ever visit Alton, Illinois, you might want to attend the church where some believe the congregation consists of both the living and the dead. Perhaps it is not the human mind that is best equipped to locate the paranormal. Some claim the ultimate ghost investigator has pure animal instinct and 4 legs instead of 2. Meet Abe, the ghost-hunting dog. Scientific study confirms that the Canis familiaris, or common household dog, can see, hear, and smell more than 10 times better than mere humans. These super senses are why dogs just might be the best method for sniffing out a ghost. Abe, a 95-pound Rottweiler, and his handler, Katie, are involved in a long-term experimental project, setting out to prove that trained dogs are the ultimate paranormal investigation tool.
We started taking him along on investigations, and we would watch his reactions and try to correlate them with the reactions we were getting or readings we were getting on some of our instrumentation.
Abe is not just a household pet. He's been trained as a seeing eye dog, a tracker, and has over 50 hours of paws-on experience with Seven, a North Carolina organization started by 7 supernatural investigators.
What we do in an investigation is we'd load up all of our equipment, load up the dog, and head out to the site.
We are going along on an investigation to a house recently built on a patch of woody farmland in a remote area outside of Raleigh-Durham. Although the nearest neighbor is about a quarter of a mile away and the property is quiet, the homeowner has had experiences that both disturb and fascinate her, which prompted her call to Seven.
Y'all come in, make yourself at home.
All right, appreciate it. We just wanted to ask you a few questions about some of the activity you've been having out here.
I have seen an apparition, and it was right out that window, right over there.
She wonders if her experiences have something to do with people that once lived on her land.
There's been a time that I've been sitting on this porch out here, and I feel like that there's 20 or 30 people staring at me.
She suspects that her ghostly encounter is a clue that she lives on haunted land. She wonders if the source might be rock croppings in the backyard that resemble mounds Native Americans used to bury their dead.
This formation of rocks right down here at the bottom of the hill, is that something that existed there already, or is that something where those rocks were stacked like that? Or?
They were all here. This one over here, this one back up in here.
Over here?
We haven't touched any of these rocks, and I won't let anybody touch them. Simply because I feel like that they are some sort of Indian graves or indigenous people graves, and I'm afraid to upset the spirits.
The Native Americans would bury their dead and mark them with rock formations like what we saw in the backyard to note that that was a sacred place and not to be desecrated. Well, if it's all right, we'll go ahead and get our equipment and get started.
That'd be great.
And what I'm going to be looking for is for him to stop and turn around and touch me, or stop and look at what is bothering him. That's kind of the look we're looking for right there. I'm sorry. Are we in a hurry to get down the stairs? out there.
When they hit the backyard, surprisingly, Abe seems to pull right towards the indigenous rock formations.
What are you doing? You're going somewhere. What is it, Abe? Okay, he dragged me down to the rocks, and then we got down here and went, oh.
Yeah.
You're not finding dead bodies, are you? Look. Okay. Where is it? Where is it?
Abe's intense stare is exactly the signal Katie is looking for. His deep focus on an unseen object doesn't fit normal dog behavior and is a reaction rarely exhibited by Abe. He wants Katie's attention. The other investigators are asked to confirm Abe's reaction with their electromagnetic field detectors.
Where'd you get over here?
Several jumps. Quite a few jumps, actually.
Wow.
That's coming.
Hand me one of them in case I can back up what he's doing.
Okay.
The spike in readings alert them of a magnetic presence. The readings are unusual and verify there is extraordinary activity near the burial mound.
Between 2 to 4.
Where is it, Abe? He does not like that rock. He says, excuse me while I leave the rock. Okay, you're good.
When Abe is done and the electronic data is correlated, the members of Seven sit down with the homeowner.
Abe did signal to Katie out on the property around the rock formations that are suspected to be burial mounds. Judging from what we've seen here tonight, I definitely would say a follow-up is warranted.
Abe seemed to confirm what the homeowner had suspected, that her home is haunted. If investigators like Seven can indeed detect a ghost, what are they detecting? And what is a ghost?
We know that when a body dies, that energy has to go somewhere. Human bodies have an electromagnetic field. We're looking for those fields with our equipment. We're looking for those fields with Abe.
Jim Underdown, a skeptic, questions the use of dogs.
The real question is, what is actually going through the dog's head? Dogs may be staring into space, they may be having reactions about things that seem mysterious to us, but since we can't read his mind, we don't know what that logical explanation is.
It's the desire to explain the unexplainable that drives ghost investigators. They hope that over time, they will learn how to properly harness the power of animal instinct. Dead sailors haunt the musty recesses of this ship that once fought bloody battles with pirates and slave traders? Can technology, available to anyone, decode the voices calling to us, beckoning, begging us to listen?
What was it?
Tanya Hacker and Tammy Wilson are expert ghost investigators. Their specialty is the collection of EVP, electronic voice phenomena, or what you and I would call ghosts talking on tape.
Most EVPs are picked up on a lower hertz level, on lower frequency, similar to what a dog hears.
These sounds can be captured on tape recordings, and upon playback, and when amplified, we can hear them.
One of the eeriest EVPs that I've collected, I heard a male voice, and he's very mysteriously saying, "I am so close to the woman in the room." It was a complete sentence. It was very eerie. I've got one EVP where we were at a residential home. The residents were complaining that a lot of hostile things were going on, but we did manage to collect one EVP with a male's voice, very disgruntled, saying, "Thought you could record me, didn't you?"
Tanya Hacker and Tammy Wilson have flown from their home base in Oklahoma City to Baltimore, Maryland. Here, they will investigate what many believe is a seaborne crypt with a special place in American history. This is a ghost ship, according to many. The USS Constellation will never sail again. It's locked in the inner harbor here, along with the restless spirits of those who died a violent death while aboard. Below the deck, they prepare for the investigation. They think that searching the ship at night will produce the best results, since all of the ghost sightings have taken place at night. The USS Constellation has 4 decks, each inhabited reportedly by its own breed of ghostly spirit. On the second deck towards the bow, or front, is the fully restored captain's quarters. This deck is where some claim to have seen the fearsome ghost of the first captain of the Constellation, Thomas Truxton. They say his ghost still refuses to leave his beloved ship. As they scour the darkness with tape recorders rolling, they speak directly to the spirits who might be present.
How are you? How you doing? You feeling better? Now, if you're here, you're gonna have to speak up, because I can't hear you. You have to talk really loud.
According to eyewitnesses, it is on this deck where the ghost of Seaman Neil Harvey, who was brutally executed on this spot, is sometimes seen. Convicted of treason and cowardice, Harvey was tied in front of a cannon and blown to bits.
We heard a story that you were blown up with a cannon. Is that true? Did that happen to you? You don't have to be afraid of us. You can come talk to us. We'll be leaving soon. Did anybody die on this ship? Holy cow. What was that? It scared me. I don't know what that was for sure. Where was it? Did y'all drop something? Yeah. Okay.
Tanya and Tammy are always scrupulous in their audio collection. They keep a log of instances like this so they are not later mistaken for EVP. As we descend to each successive deck, the overhead space gets lower and lower.
This is the brig?
Yeah. Are you being punished? Did you do something wrong?
Just when Tanya and Tammy are about to call it a night and go back to the hotel to examine their recordings, the investigation takes a bizarre turn.
Hide. You don't have to be afraid of us. Come on in.
What is it? Did somebody go upstairs? Because we need to know what that noise was. Did somebody go up the stairs a minute ago or make like a bouncy noise? I mean, I know you're not supposed to interact with us, but did you hear it?
I heard something.
Because the noise, I mean, it sounded like somebody ran up the stairs, kind of, or bounced on the floor.
The ship is sealed off to the public, and we confirm that our entire crew is on the same floor, so the sound of footsteps on the stairs is a mystery. With the on-site investigation over, Tanya and Tammy's work has just begun. They won't know if they encountered a ghost until they thoroughly examine the audio-taped evidence they've collected. It takes hours of scouring the tapes for ghostly proof. In one section, they think they have found something. They replay the tape and boost the volume. The tape reveals what they were looking for. While they were visiting the captain's quarters, a mysterious female voice suddenly breaks the silence.
With the noises that were surrounding us, we can't validate that as a ghost voice, but it was a very nice example of what could possibly be an EVP.
If they have indeed made contact with the dead, you have to ask, are ghosts trying to reach us?
A lot of times, if there is a ghost there, they are wanting to communicate. Either they're wanting you to leave, or they're really wanting to have a conversation with you.
Jim Underdown, a skeptic, doesn't see it that way.
Human beings are pattern-seeking animals, and they look for meaning in things where there may not have been meaning originally.
Is the USS Constellation really haunted? It is only more investigation that will tell us if the ship has become a floating wooden coffin for the undead. Who you gonna call if you think you have ghosts? If you live in Seattle, the answer is the Amateur Ghost Hunters of Seattle-Tacoma.
We are an organization that is determined to come up with scientific evidence that ghosts could possibly exist.
Their common passion has brought them to Seattle's Pioneer Square, ready to descend through this doorway into Seattle's haunted past. This is where you'll find the town as it was abandoned in 1907, when bubonic plague prompted officials to condemn and bury the city forever. In this underground location, you will find a textile mill, a Turkish bath, and a gold rush bank buried beneath Seattle's streets. Some say the ghosts of yesterday still exist here today.
Well, there's been a lot of reports of activity in these areas, from apparitions, from just people going in and having eerie experiences.
These ghost hunters don't just focus on psychic sensing or otherworldly hunches. They go high-tech.
Well, I'm one of the techs tonight, and we all have our specific jobs, and one of the things I fill out is a tech report here.
Anything that he instructs me to do, that's what I start doing.
I take pictures, got cameras, I've got a digital, infrared, still camera.
Working the temperature sensors. It's basically a laser infrared detector, and that right now I can check your body temperature. You're reading about 79 on the outside.
Now that the group is ready to explore the underground, they want to make sure that the ghosts are ready also.
Patricia, you want to lead it?
We ask the spirits in the underground to please cooperate with us this evening. We'd like to communicate with you. We mean you no harm, disrespect.
As the investigation begins, members of the group take digital photographs, making sure they focus on specific areas of interest. The group has selected a special spot for the primary part of the investigation. It's the underground's quietest area, located between an old hotel and Seattle's first theater. What makes an amateur ghost hunter's investigation different from other ghost hunting groups? It's a computer system they've developed called SPECTRE, which stands for Special Paranormal Energy Computer Tracking Research Equipment. They take electronic devices typically used to track ghosts and connect them to a laptop computer so that all the devices can be monitored at once. Each line on the SPECTRE computer screen represents a different sensor connected to the computer. The motion detector emits ultrasonic pulses and waits for an echo. The temperature probe lets us know of any temperature changes in the room. The voltage probe measures the consistency of the electrical current. The magnetic field sensor measures any changes in the Earth's magnetic field. And the finishing touch is...
What we do now is we set up a infrared camera to monitor the whole setup, just so we can vouch that nobody came in and tampered with the equipment.
They tape off the section of the underground with SPECTRE so the system can take readings for an hour while they continue the investigation elsewhere. In the area of the old bank, they find something which might be paranormal in nature.
Are you guys getting any readings through here?
Yes, I'm getting something magnetic though.
Here, we're just not sure what this is over here. If there's something behind the wall, but we're definitely picking some EMF. We got some magnetic readings over there.
After an hour, the group returns to check the readings on the SPECTRE computer system to see if they have captured evidence of a ghostly visit.
All right, let's see what we got. No, actually, it looks like we didn't get anything. It's flatline, pretty much.
Everything?
Pretty much. Little ion just climbed up a little bit, but it was all steady. Nothing dramatic. It could all be natural.
Not every investigation results in computer readings with conclusive results. And that's okay with the amateur ghost hunters, since they feel they are on the leading edge of science with a luminous future. They hope that someday advances in technology will answer the question, do we live with ghosts?
There is some sort of energy going on that we can't explain. And it also helps in a lot of cases too when we go into these houses to help ease the people that are experiencing a lot of this stuff.
The problem with using all the high-tech gear is that you don't know what a ghost is made of, so how can you possibly know what instrument to measure it by?
Even if the dark crevices of this underworld city are inhabited by the dead, they are nothing compared to this. This might be one of the scariest and most haunted places on Earth. Philadelphia's 174-year-old Eastern State Penitentiary. Abandoned in 1971, it now stands as a lost world of crumbling cell blocks and empty guard towers. These cells once held notorious criminals like Al Capone and Willie Sutton. They may now stand unoccupied, but are not entirely empty. Some believe suffering former prisoners are haunting Eastern State's dark Gothic structure. Experts say the amount of trauma, pain, and terror experienced by men who are incarcerated often leaves a lasting impression behind, which makes this the perfect location for our ghost hunters to join together, combining their unique skills for the ultimate collaborative ghost investigation. The team consists of Troy Taylor, ghost historian, Tanya Hacker and Tammy Wilson, specialists in collecting EVP, also known as Ghost Voices on Tape, Ross Allison, Dutch Jackson, and Patricia Woolard, high-tech paranormal investigation technicians. And there's a non-human ghost hunter along too, Abe, the dog from North Carolina, with his trainers, Jim Hall, Katie Harrington, and Janet Bodges. They are headed to the prison to conduct the biggest ghost hunt ever.
Yeah. Has anybody ever done a prison before?
This doesn't look like any prison.
They must find and face the ghosts who are said to reside at the prison. It's 11 p.m. and they will spend one night locked behind these bars. By dawn, their ghostly encounter will be over. Troy Taylor, whose approach is finding historical proof that a place is haunted, has been preparing for months, researching the prison and its ghostly inhabitants. He must orient his teammates before the hunt begins at midnight.
This wing that we're standing in here right now, this is cell block number 1. This is the oldest original part of the prison. The prison itself was designed to look like a medieval castle, and while today that's not really intimidating to most of us, back at that time in the early 1800s, people who were still fresh in this country, it was very, very intimidating to see a prison that had been constructed to look like a castle. This first cell really kind of gives you an idea, and you'll have a chance to go in more of the cells, but this one is really kind of a perfect example because you can actually see what the cell really looked like.
The crumbling cold stone walls of the individual chambers are a testimony to the solitary years prisoners spent here. It's no wonder that visitors to Eastern State say they have seen shadowy, ghostly figures lurking throughout the prison.
The Quakers put them in one-man cells. From the time they entered the prison to the time they left, they came into contact with no one. The solitary confinement caused huge outbreaks of insanity in this prison. At that time, the prison officials refused to admit the fact that it was the isolation and the solitude that was actually causing these men to become insane.
High above the cell blocks is the Central Guard Tower. This is where you can see the entire prison, including the cell, which housed the notorious criminal Al Capone.
One of the stories that a lot of people don't know about Al Capone is that he believed that he was haunted by the ghost of one of the victims of the St. Valentine's Day Massacre. Al believed to the end of his days, from the time he was here at Eastern State to the time he died, that he was haunted by James Clark's ghost. And it was here at Eastern State that the story actually got started. According to the legend, other prisoners actually would hear Al in his cell at night screaming, "Go away, Jimmy, leave me alone."
The clock strikes midnight, and it's time for the ghost hunt to begin. At this point, the group splits up, and each team will investigate a different area of the prison using their own individual techniques. Ross Allison, Dutch Jackson, and Patricia Woolard, the high-tech paranormal technicians from Seattle, have brought the Spectre computer system they are known for. They want to set it up in a location where they have the best chance of capturing proof the prison is haunted. They have decided upon death row. To begin, Ross takes temperature readings, while Dutch takes the preliminary electromagnetic field readings.
One to a 2.
A meter reading of 1 or 2 indicates unusual magnetic energy.
7. 8.
When Dutch enters cell number 13, he finds something he's never seen before.
It just hit out of the 10. Okay, whatever it is mad now.
You gotta figure all these guys are bad news.
Then what I would do is probably set Spectre here, still have the motion shooting down the hallway here.
All the sensors are connected to the computer, and the monitoring begins.
Gordon? Gordon. Okay. 40.
In another part of death row, Tanya Hacker and Tammy Wilson are questioning the spirits of former prisoners in an attempt to capture EVP, or electronic voice phenomena.
Do you get a lot of visitors?
After each question, they pause, hoping that in the silence, ghosts will respond on tape.
How long did you live here?
These recordings will be examined later to see if they indeed encountered a ghost.
When will you be free to go?
At 2 a.m., just below the entrance to the guard tower, Abe, the trained ghost hunting dog, seemed spooked. His handlers Jim Hall, Katie Harrington, and Janet Bodges have brought him to cell block 7.
I have to admit, it's intimidating to walk in here if you were arrested.
Abe and Katie explore the cavernous first floor, while Jim and Janet decide to check out the guard tower. Up several sets of stairs and a narrow spiral staircase, they find a breathtaking view of the entire prison and the city of Philadelphia. There is an uneasy feeling in the tower that intrigues Janet. She wants to stay up here and record her own EVP, while Jim returns to work with Abe.
Okay, that'll be fine. I'll be between here and the doorway. I'm going to do about 15-minute intervals here, the stairs, and the door.
And since radios don't seem to be working, if you need us, yell really, really loud.
Back on the ground, Katie and Jim inch down a dark corridor. At the end of cell block 7, they encounter a mysterious room.
So, isn't it?
He doesn't like it in there so much.
This room at the end of Eastern State Prison's cell block 7 is not any ordinary room, and Abe, the ghost hunting dog, knows.
I'm sorry, buddy, you okay?
Up in the tower, Janet's work is interrupted when an unexplainable burst of light overwhelms her. When she can't find the source and realizes she is absolutely alone, she panics and runs down the stairs to find the others.
I was up in the watchtower.
Yeah?
And the whole damn room lit up. I mean, lit up to the point that I could see my own shadow on the wall. I'm willing to leave the tape recorder up here, but I'm not willing to stay up here.
As the night gets later and later, the teams maneuver through the eerie darkness, careful not to let fear influence their results. Soon, the dark black sky turns to morning blue. It's 7 a.m., and everyone gathers in the prison yard. This is the first chance they've had to communicate their individual ghostly experience from the night.
So kind of what I wanted to do is see what everybody did manage to either get or not get. I wanted to see what you guys had to say.
What we were tracking was EMF, temperature, motion.
The group from Seattle goes first, with results from the computer they set up in death row.
And what we had picked up was a constant motion.
Real, just steady as like a vibration, and which really didn't coincide with the area.
We also picked up EMF spikes and also a few motion spikes too.
What about you guys?
Our main focus was to try to collect audio.
Tanya and Tammy have reviewed their audio recordings and found what they think is a ghostly voice caught on tape.
We were outside. We got a creeped out moment, and I'd mentioned, well, we can't be scared. And then you hear a small voice. We can't be scared. And it's very clear and it's very loud.
But there were probably 2 or 3 different times that we got a little spooked.
Okay, well, let's move on to you guys then.
There were a couple of instances where Abe did react.
One location where they got readings, he also stood out there and growled.
The third team member, Janet, tells of her frightening moment.
In the watchtower, there was a little light that can't be explained as of yet.
Tanya and Tammy are surprised because they too had an eerie experience in the same location.
So when we were coming downstairs from there, I kind of looked, but it was weird because we both thought it looked like somebody was sitting on the step.
That's the exact place, same spot.
All right, well, if that's everybody, I think that we've all got gear we need to get, and I think a lot of people would like to get into a bed somewhere and go to sleep. So let's head on back, gather up our stuff, and we'll head on out of here.
So, is Eastern State haunted? For most of the ghost hunters we met, the answer is yes. They claim it is the scientific evidence they collected that makes them true believers, and they are ready to defend their method of investigation.
We try to eliminate any possible natural cause, and if we can do that and whatever's left over is unexplainable, that's something we consider positive evidence.
Well, we do come across a lot of skeptics, putting us down. A lot of times they're not going to believe whatever you have to offer unless they experience it for themselves.
It's extremely unlikely that ghosts exist in the first place. Is it possible? It's possible. It's possible that Santa Claus exists. Does the evidence suggest it? Absolutely not.
Skeptics will try to debunk EVP. There are several outlets they choose that we're getting some kind of interference with cell phones, radio towers, airplanes, car stereos, things like that. How they can explain where you have a direct voice answering your question. The odds, I think, are just not there.
I try to think of myself as an open-minded skeptic with the idea that maybe it's haunted, maybe it's not. I don't care going in, but I like to know what's going on when I leave.
Have these investigators found proof that spirits from another time and place are interacting with us? One day, will their methods of investigation be accepted as conclusive proof? Until then, we can only wonder if ghosts really do exist in our mysterious world.
Still to come tonight, a Special Forces soldier steps out of retirement and into the most dangerous mission of his life. Our movie at 10 is Code Red, The Rubicon Conspiracy. Up next, here on Sci-Fi.